To another episode on the JESUSgirl.ENT podcast. My name is Shaniqua Robinson, and I'll be your host. And so, to Spotify for Podcasters, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, thank you for allowing us to stream on your platform. For those of you who are tuning in, thank you for joining us. And to you who sent prayers, donations, thank you. Any form of support, thank you. We are so grateful for the love. And so, guys, we are on for another Freedom Friday. You guys know that on Freedom Friday, we take a text. Use what you have. Use what you have. And so I want to tell you, man of God, woman of God, you may be very well discrediting what it is that you have right within your arm's reach. You may be discrediting what it is that God has gifted you with, who it is that God has allowed for you to be in connection to, the intelligence that you have, the knowledge that you gain, wisdom that you gained over the years. And so sometimes we look over the fence, or we may be looking here and there and thinking, what can I do next? What could I possibly have? I don't have anything of value, and you have so much value even within yourself, without looking outside of yourself. This is something that I know the Lord was ministering to me on last week. And so I was watching this movie, and it's from a different culture of people. So not African American, not Caucasian, not even people that you see in America. So a whole different culture of people. And so the thing that I loved about these people is that they didn't place so much value on materialistic objects and outside things as they did on themselves. And so they became the most valuable possession that they had. Themselves, their own temples, their own bodies, their own ability. They increased their ability to think, to learn technique, to do various things. And so they weren't spending all of their money on cars and clothes and shoes and jewelry and all these other things. They were building up who they were and making themselves so valuable. And so even with seeing that, it made me just want to be, that's why I shared this on last week, learning how to enjoy a simplistic lifestyle, because when you realize that you are the one that has the value, and even if you have areas that are weakness, you can build them up to become strengths when you realize the value that God has deposited on the inside of you. And so even with God saying that you're created in his image and the very hairs on your head are numbered, you're wonderfully and fearfully made. Come here, women that are getting ready to participate in Mother's Day and celebrate Mother's Day, that Proverbs 31 says that you are worth far more than rubies. And so when God talks about our value, he always puts it on the top shelf. He always makes it top tier. It's the things of the world and the things that we put ourselves in that makes us sometimes question the very value that we have. But when you get back connected to God, you get back on that straight street, he begins to minister to you about you. Not so much about what you have. He'll add all those things to you, but he ministers to you about you and the value of being who it is that God has called for you to be. And so we're talking from the topic of use what you have. We're going to go to Matthew chapter 14, and we're going to read verses 16 through 21. Matthew 14, 16 to 21. And so Jesus is teaching a great multitude of people. They begin to become hungry, and his disciples, the first thought that they have is send them home, let them eat at home. But I love the fact that Jesus is so compassionate and he's so caring. He would be the perfect person. It's like if you could visualize somebody that's an awesome host when it comes down to events. He was so caring about the well-being of those that he was teaching. He didn't just want to give them the word. He also wanted to give them something of substance. So if they're hungry, he like, no, we don't have to send them away. We can feed them. And so this is the characteristic of Jesus Christ. So if you're a person that's giving, you're a person that loves to, give and be hospitable, those are characteristics of God. And so let's start at verse 16. And so they're saying that they're hungry. The disciples want to send them away, but this is how Jesus responds. Verse 16, but Jesus said unto them, they need not depart, give ye them to eat. And they said unto him, we have here but 5 loaves and 2 fishes. And so they were discrediting what they had. They're like, we don't even have enough. We don't have sufficient to feed all of these people. You may be thinking, I don't have a large enough network to be able to push out this business. I don't have a lot of support to be able to grow this ministry. I don't have enough people that are, riding with me for me to be able to start this movement. But when you give it to God, let's keep on reading, because we're going to see what happens, even though they have doubt. And that's some of our issue. It's not that, it's not all of those other things that we may try to label it is that you just doubt. And that's why when the disciples began to doubt, or when Peter stepped out on water and he began to sink, the first thing that Jesus asked him is, O ye of little faith, why did you doubt? So many of us started off well, especially even in 2024. You started off, blazing the track. You were taking off. But then something crept in, maybe the opinions of others. Maybe you took your eyes off of Jesus. Whatever the case may have been, something became more important to you than staying focused on God, and you began to doubt. But even in that, he said, why did you doubt? He picked him up. He put him back onto the ship. So he restored him back to where he was. And so whenever you begin to sink because you're doubting, all you got to do is cry out to God and he will restore you. And so they're in a place where they're doubting the ability of what they can do for these people because they don't have much. Verse 18, he said, bring them hither to me. Bring me what you have. You got 2 fish and 5 loaves in your hands is not sufficient. So I'm not going to even knock the fact that you think that you can't do much with it, but it becomes sufficient when you put it in the master's hand. Come on here. So that little, whatever you think it is you're starting, that book, that podcast, that music idea, that brand, that business, that merchandise, it may be small. It may even look really, really, really small to somebody else. But faith the size of a mustard seed, you know how small a mustard seed is? Can move mountains. And so all you got to do is take that little bit that you have and give it to God. And let's see what's getting ready to happen. A miracle. Verse 19, and he commanded the multitude to sit down on the grass and took the 5 loaves. See, Jesus didn't have no doubt. We're going to feed them. This almost like your big mama. When it wasn't, I don't know if you had a big mama like mine, my grandmother from down south. So she can turn a small amount of food into a great meal, a delicious meal to feed the entire house and have leftovers. And so he knew that y'all may not be able to do this, but we about to feed everybody. Everybody getting ready to eat. That we all eating. We eating. Everybody is getting ready to eat once you put it in the master's hand. And that's why even with the book that God had me to release, the first chapter is entitled, It's Bigger Than You. Because whenever you're mission driven, if the mission only surrounds you, if the mission only benefits you, then you got to ask yourself, is this something that God gave me? Because whatever God gave me is not just for me. It's for all of those that are connected to me. It may be for those that I don't even know yet. For those that are in different countries, those are that don't even, have a relationship with Jesus Christ. By way of me stepping out of faith, I may be able to draw many unto the fold. And so he told them to sit down because y'all getting ready to eat. And he took the 5 loaves, 5 represents the number of grace, and the 2 fishes, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and brake and gave the loaves to his disciples and the disciples to the multitude. And so you see how he multiplied it and then he gave it back to those who doubted that it was possible. How much more are you going to praise God once you take that one thing that you think is not possible of doing the very thing that it can do, and you put it in the master's hand and he give it back to you 10-fold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold greater than what it is that you deposited. It's just like how when you put certain amount of money into a banking account and it increases over a certain amount of time. Just imagine you giving this to God, you making a faith deposit into you getting a heavenly download, giving it to God, and God giving it back to you exceedingly abundantly above all. That's why he says, give and it shall be given unto you. How? Pressed down, shaken together, and running over shall who? Men given to your bosom.
Our God is greater, our God is stronger. Lord, you are high.